Guys, welcome back. It's your girl Toya T, and this is my recap and review for Being Mary Jane Season 4, Episode 4, Getting Schooled. Now, this episode, I definitely will say, was much better than the first three. Mary Jane is finally seeming to even out on her bipolar crazy. Things are going well at work. I mean, semi-well. We open up seeing her and Kara watching Justin as everyone is fawning over him, which would make sense because despite what his character is, this is still fine-ass Michael Ealy. So she's over there with Kara hating on Justin, but she seems to at least be adjusting to the fact that she has been demoted to being the correspondent for the online part of the show, of the morning show that she is on. And so she is trying to make the best out of it. She goes to a pitch meeting with all the producers and other correspondents and pitches. She shows them a video that she found on, I think on Twitter, that was showing a young man that was dressed, a young black male, yes, he's like a high school student, that was dressed in like a t-shirt, leggings, and a skirt. I think it was actually a kilt. It was a kilt. And which is the style, you know, for some of these kids out there. But the thing about the video is that all of a sudden you see this grown black man come and like just yank him up. He was right in front of his school, yank him up and start like pretty much assaulting him. And what you find out is this is the boy's father. And Mary Jane is saying that she would love to you know, bring this out as a story because it's just unfair that this young boy was being assaulted, no matter if it was the father or just a random stranger, that is something that she wants to pursue. Now, of course, Rhonda got to put her business in there and was like, nah, I don't think this is interesting. And, you know, Justin's right up that ass like, yeah, you know, I don't think this is a story. Just seems like a parent taking care of their child. And I don't even see it as abuse, so leave it alone. And of course, Garrett was like, okay, yeah, dead that. I think that we should not do it. And so they move on. Of course, Mary Jane didn't take that sitting down lightly. She decides to start reporting the video because, of course, it hasn't hit national news. She's trying to be on top of this. So she already started recording her kind of intro and spin on this, and Kara catches her. She's like, well, I thought you know, Garrett told you that you're not supposed to pursue the story, but she says, you know, I can't pursue it on the television show, but I am the online correspondent, the online host, and so it wouldn't hurt to put this video that's already online on our online website because, hey, that's the whole point. And Kara's like, yeah, go ahead, girl. You know, go ahead and see if it works for you. You got to take chances. So in this case, and all the things that Mary Jane has done so far this season, I actually agree with her on this. They put her in this position. This is her job to be the person that's doing the online, reaching out to the younger demographic, and things that happen on Twitter, especially stuff where you either see a parent yanking up a child over something or a fight. And this one even had a little bit more things to discuss, and I'll talk about it later, but so it ends up working out well for her. Justin is pissed off, but Garrett finds out. She points out to Garrett that the video itself has gotten over 3 million views overnight. It's gone viral, and Garrett is happy that they are the first ones to kind of break this story out of all the national networks. And so he tells Mary Jane to go ahead and pursue it. Justin's pissed off because he really didn't want to do this story. Anyway, going back to that, Mary Jane is happy that she's able to pursue this. She tells Justin that I'm going to be able to extend this story. I'm going to go find this kid in New Jersey, and I'm going to go get an interview with him and get him to be on the show. And so Justin's like, okay, if you can do it, go ahead, go and do it. So going back over to Kara, and who I love, and we got much more of Kara. I told you I'd be so much happier if this was being Kara. And so we see Kara in Orlando, and you know, he's doing very well with his sports correspondent job so far. And of course, you know, she's still working with him, trying to polish him up, helping him as his producer. And since they got a little touchy, freaky, closey in the last episode, apparently, you know, they got busy, and Kara is like trying to keep professional, but you know, she is a woman, she does have needs, and so she's like, you know, he's good looking, he's strong, able-bodied, like why not? So they cut to her in the bed with him, and he is pounding the hell out of her, and not in a good way, not in the DMX belly, like, you know, just and you just left like, oh my god, she just gave it to me. No, he is like doing jackrabbit high school kind of fucking, and it's just so annoying. I can't believe this. And he's a 34-year-old man still jackrabbiting and thinking that's how you have sex. And so you see Kara just like, oh my gosh, when is this gonna be over? So she eventually so we see her the next day, and she talks to Mary Jane about her sex life and saying like, you know, you and Lee seem to have like a good thing going on over there. And Mary Jane is like, well, what about you and Orlando? And she's like, Orlando, oh my gosh, he's just, he just doesn't know what he's doing in the bedroom. Like I could have a good working relationship, even have possibly a career as an agent or something, like really work out this professional opportunity and get some booty on the side, but the booty is awful. You know, the D is not worth it. And so Mary Jane suggests maybe you should, you know, teach him how to love, like, you know, teach him what to do. This is how it works, you know, touch me here, touch me there, slow down. And at first Kara's like, I don't know about that. I mean, that's just, I don't got time, because Kara's a grown-ass woman. If Mary Jane is about to turn 40, Kara should be in her, maybe around the same age, maybe early 40s, late 30s. So she ain't got time to be teaching no grown-ass man how to have sex. So we'll come back to them in a second. Mary Jane, on the other hand, is of course already showing her ass on her relationship side. So I said professionally, she's doing great. Relationship wise, she's talking to Lee, and she showed Lee the video of the young man in the kilt and the, you know, getting beat up by the father. And she's telling him that, you know, I'm going to pursue this, and I'm getting ready to do that. And Lee's like, well, I really don't see the problem. Like, you know, if that's what he wants to wear, you should see me when I wear my kilt. And she gives him a side eye like, what do you mean? And he's like, for real, like, you know, like I have some kind of Scottish ancestry and my mom was really serious about it. So I have a kilt. I have some pictures of me in a kilt, you know, celebrating that part of my heritage. And Mary Jane is just not feeling it. She's like, I don't know about that. That just, you know, she just comes off so freaking ignorant for someone who is so worldly, someone who is educated, someone who works in the media, who talks to different people, and who definitely is from a marginalized group and understands what it means for people to look down on you based off of certain assumptions. And so for the fact that she is actually fucking this man, this is a man that she is having sex with. She knows that he is attracted to her and she's attracted to him, and they have sex and they're in a relationship and he has feelings for her, then she would still question his sexuality for the fact that he said that he has worn a kilt for cultural reasons. Not like he's walking around in a kilt right now, and there's nothing wrong with that, but he's just worn it. He's trying to, you know, he's really pressing her. I feel like she's gonna mess this up because, again, he comes off as so like rational and thoughtful and grown, and she comes off like a little child. Maybe she should be messing with Orlando. He can go pound her and she can go and act stupid, you know, like, oh, well, that's gay, and I'm saying you wear a skirt. It's like, oh my gosh. So she's already picking on him about how he sits, like he crosses his legs, not like full out wide, you know, like this is like how she's saying, like, you know, Black American males don't cross their legs like females do, like one over the other, but they actually do a wide berth. They sit with their legs wide open, which is always like, what? Why are you doing that? I understand maybe it's comfortable, but like that is not all. That's not necessarily the only way that men can sit. She said, you know, even putting the one leg over putting your leg on top of your knee, like, you know, that's how Black men sit, and you don't do that. That's weird. And he's like, well, whatever. He's just laughing it off. I think he recognizes that she's crazy and that she has a lot of issues and is a little bit ignorant and closed-minded, but he just waves it off and says, you know, I'm gonna go and get some tea. And she's like, even that is kind of like too metro, and it's like, it's just tea. He's British. What did she expect? Eventually, Mary Jane tries to go and have this interview with the young man. She goes to the house in New Jersey. She's knocking on the door. She can see that they're looking through the window, but they're not opening. She stays out there for a couple of hours. I think a good 3 or 4. She's out there for maybe about 4 or 5 hours trying to get them to come outside. But eventually she sees it. They're not coming outside. So she leaves. She has to go to a dinner party at Kara's where she'll also be meeting. Lee's going to be there to hang out with Kara. And I think that's like for the first time outside of like when they first initially met. And then also to meet her brother PJ's there. They're all joking about how Mary Jane needs to hurry up and get an apartment because they miss her southern cooking because she can't do much in, you know, with a hotel wet bar since she still lives in the hotel. And you know, she notices that PJ like puts his arm out and she notices that PJ has a $30,000 Rolex and she's like, where did you get that from? And he's like, well, you know, my new employer gave it to me, or my client, I think it's his client. His new client gave it to him. And Mary Jane, of course, is trying to dig up in there and see like, are you fucking your client here? Like, you know, we know that you were a hoe when you were in Atlanta and you were probably messing with your old boss in LA. So what is going on here? And he's saying, no, this is just business. She gave me a gift. I mean, the woman is wealthy. And so I think a $30,000 Rolex to someone who was actually a good, providing you a good business as a bonus, like means probably nothing to her. She probably wrote it off. And so Mary Jane insists that she wants to meet PJ's new client. And PJ's like, well, that's fine. I mean, like, we're not involved. So if you want to meet her, that's fine. You can come over. We can work that out. So we do see that happen. PJ introduces Mary Jane to his boss. This is this wealthy white woman that, you know, explains that she really enjoys the services that, you know, the business services that PJ has provided, and she really looks forward to working with him, and that she's trying to open doors and change people's minds about people of color in business and trying to help him open doors, and that, you know, just to, you know, that people need certain things to help them fit in, for people to know that they belong. So a $30,000 Rolex to her was like nothing, and it was a good entryway for all the high-end clients that she's trying to introduce him to, the world she's trying to introduce him to, that's kind of like a golden ticket in. Like, yeah, I rock a $30,000 Rolex. So Mary Jane sees that everything's on the up and up. She really likes this new boss of his, this client of his, and I don't know why she was so freaking concerned at all. And Lee's like, I don't see why you're concerned either. But of course she can't help herself. She has to put her nose all up in the business. And even if he was having sex with her, PJ is a grown fucking man. He has his own job. He has his own place. He is not living under Mary J. He's not, like, you don't need to be in his business. If he wants to do that, he can go ahead and do it. So whatever. Moving on from there, so going back to Kara with her and Orlando, and she stops him midway there in the bed from what he was doing. He's like, oh, let's go do it again. She's like, oh no, I don't want to do that. He's like, why, you don't like it? And she's like, I really don't. Like, the sex is good, but it could be so much better. And he gets offended, but she took it the right way by saying, like, you know, I just think that your technique works well with the 23-year-olds that you've been sleeping with, but I'm a grown-ass woman that knows exactly how I want things done, that jackrabbiting is not the only way to have sex, and that you could take it slow, you can do different things, experiment. She offers to teach him how to, you know, make it feel good. And he at first is reluctant. He feels like she's, you know, making a jab towards his manhood. And he's like, I don't know how to have sex, and I've never had complaints before. But she's trying to be patient, and she's like, you know, you're a strong man, you're a smart man. Like, just think of it as another challenge. And he's like, he tries to get into it, but he's just not in it. He just feels like she's treating him like a child, so he leaves. And she's like, whatever, I tried. And so, but he eventually comes back. because of his pride. And he's like, man, I was able to do something in baseball, like, one game a long time ago that seemed almost impossible. Something, it was like a no-winner, and I was able to get out a hit or a run or whatever it is. And he said, if I can make that kind of baseball history, then I can learn how to do this. And so he gets into it, and eventually he picks up all the techniques that she's trying to teach him. Like, apparently he doesn't know how to go downtown, and he doesn't, all the stuff that he didn't know, and she's teaching him to slow down and to treat it like how you prepare for a baseball game. You warm up slow, and then you kind of get into it. And so we see that they eventually end up having some really great sex. Like, Kara's just orgasming all over the place. So much so that she has him between her legs, and she's like her eyes are crossing and her legs were all twitching, and it was so bad she her legs kind of just around his neck, and you heard a little snap, and it turns out that he injured his neck from this, which also affected his starting for spring training. And so Garrett was like, later on, Garrett's like, what happened there? He needs to watch himself, because we need him to be on camera. We need him to also still have this, this baseball career for it to be a profitable relationship. And Kara's like, I don't know what happened. I'll make sure. But we do see that he's really into her. I don't think Kara's into Orlando. He comes over with his neck brace on, and he's like, I can't do a lot of things like we were doing before, but can we just hang out? And he brings her a cupcake that was just so sweet, and I just would have grabbed that thing in 2 seconds. I'm like, yeah. And Kara seems reluctant, and she's like, yeah, we can hang out. But I think for her, she's like, fuck, I just wanted friends with benefits. I didn't want this to get complicated. Like, I already got an ex-husband and 2 kids in another state, like, that I got to worry about, and this career that I'm trying to get off the, that I'm trying to build. Which goes back to a conversation that she ended up having with Justin, where he pretty much told her, she's like, why are you always so mean to Mary Jane? She's a great talent, that someone that, that you need to use your intellect for, to, know how to get the best out of her. And he pretty much tells her, like, straight up, like, yeah, you might have intellect, but I will always have, as a man, I will always have a leg up on you, because you're a single mother. And so there are things that I'll be able to spend all night doing, that I will have certain privileges as a male, that people will make assumptions about how much work I have put in or can put in, as opposed to you, where people are always going to assume that you have other important issues in your life, aka your kids. And so it was just really nasty. I mean, it was a truth, but it was an ugly truth to say to someone, especially another person of color. If he was a white man saying that to her, I would call HR in a second. But yeah, I mean, he said it and then just walked away. And I think she was thinking about that when Orlando, he was trying to make this into a relationship, and then I think she was thinking, like, I'm trying to get work done. I'm trying to get on the serious stories. I'm trying to get work done. I'm trying to move my career, and I don't have time for this. And so we'll see what happens. Going back to Mary Jane and this story, Justin actually does get her to go out again and go find an angle, like find your angle to get this boy. So at first she finds out who his favorite rapper is, and she gets the rapper to come on. He's kind of like a young thug, or a heterosexual rapper that kind of is gender bending, wearing, has this women's clothing line, not women's clothing line, like feminine type clothes that are sold for men. So he sells skirts, he sells leggings, he sells those long shirts that look like dresses. And pretty much as Mary Jane is interviewing him, and she's like, well, I mean, like, do you think that people are gay bashing you? And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not gay. Like, what I'm wearing doesn't have anything to do with it. And I saw that video of that young man, and I would love to reach out to him and talk to him, because, I know that it's hard, but, this is a lifestyle. This is a fashion thing, and it has nothing to do with someone's gender identity or their sexual orientation. And so even with that conversation, Mary Jane still doesn't get it. Justin pushes her to really go and get that boy. So after the interview with the rapper and she still couldn't get the young man, she went back to the house, staked it out, caught him when he was coming from school or coming from somewhere, and approaches him, and he's like, I know who you are. You're trying to talk to me. I don't think that you quite understand it. And she's like, well, again, making assumptions that he's gay. And he's like, I'm not gay. Like, how I dress does not indicate my sexuality. I don't think I want to talk to you because you don't understand, how hard it is. Like, what why is it so hard for people just to accept how I dress? It's how I dress. It has nothing to do with what I'm doing, and why are you so concerned about what I'm wearing? And during this conversation, the father comes out of the house and he's like, get the hell off my property, and you're not going to talk to my son. I've had plenty of journalists coming around here, and I'm trying to protect my son the best as possible. I don't want him walking up and down these streets looking like a freak. And then from there, the son gets triggered, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to do this interview, because fucked up to him, like, you know, if you think that me beating your ass, it will make you respect me instead of just accepting me for who I am, then I will do it right now. And I was like, Father, you better back down. The father was looking like, my son is taller than me, he's younger than me, and he's wearing pants this time. And so there ain't nothing but space and opportunity. So the father backs down. Mary Jane is like there. I was like, oh my gosh. But we do see the kid does come to the station and does do the interview. He's all styled up. It's really cute. I mean, it's not something that I'm necessarily attracted to. I'm not saying that I would just go out and be like, oh, I want to find me a man wearing a kilt or whatever like that. But I think that it's not for my age demographic. I think it's for the younger generation, the ones that are in high school, 18, 16, 17, up to the, you know, mid-20s. And so, I mean, I prefer, you know, in my 30s, a man in a suit, a nice tailored suit. But for the young kids, if I was like 16, 17, I probably would think it's real cute. It's really different. I just love that they were talking about this issue that's happening within, especially the Black community, about people having such problems with just young people, or people in general, just stepping out of boundaries, like trying new things, experimenting, and not realizing that none of the stuff that we're doing has to do with sexuality. If I'm gay, that's okay. But the way I dress doesn't mean that I'm gay. If I am in a relationship with another woman and I'm sexually attracted to her, then I'm gay. But it's not if I decide that I want to wear men's suits and ties. That doesn't have anything to do with my gender identity or my sexuality, because I think people, I mean, like even Mary Jane, again, when she was talking to him, I think she was finally getting it. I think she's still on the fence, but I just wanted to yell at her like, yo, you know, there wasn't too long ago when women weren't allowed to wear pants because people thought that it made them manly and masculine. And there are actually some people today, including the 45th president of the United States, who are talking about women in the White House dressing more women-like, which means no pants, more skirts, skirt suits. You know, and I'm like, we already fought this fight, so we should all be there together saying like, you know, what you wear has nothing to do with like what is going on with you. And so the kid is all styled up by his favorite rapper. He's talking about it. He's saying, you know, for every person that bullies me or thinks down at me, I have at least 2 other people that are supporting me. And that really just gives me courage and makes me want to continue to do what I'm doing, because it's really hard out here for kids with, you know, cyberbullying and all these other things and trying to find yourself, find your identity. And it's nice to know that if you can stand up, there'll be other people standing up with you, and that you really have like formed a community. And so I love the way that they ended this segment, this news story. It really did help Mary Jane at her job, and help the station, because other networks started picking up the story, and they never would have known about it if it wasn't for Mary Jane. At the end, we see Mary Jane with her boyfriend Lee at home. She's still coming at him, and Cara had told her earlier, like, you really find anything, like you will find anything to like ruin a relationship. He's a great guy, and now you're saying he's too feminine. And so she still broached it with him after Cara told her stop. So she says, like, you know, like, I'm not used to someone like you. I'm used to more swagger. And Lee just called her on it. Like, if you're used to some 90s era, like DMX kind of like tattoo on the neck, on the arm, you know, rough and tough, pants hanging down kind of guy, then you can go leave and go find that person, and I can be just fine. And I'll find me someone who appreciates me for who I am. I've been nothing but understanding and loving and accepting of you and all your flaws. And it seems like what he's showing you is not even flaws. It's like, it's just who he is. And she says like, well, I get it. You know, I'm okay with that. I just have to get used to it. And it's like, get used to what? A man loving you? A man being, you know, confident in himself, loving himself enough to, you know, do things that make him happy and still accept the things that you're doing. So Anyway, we'll see what happens on the next episode. Let me know what you think about Getting Schooled. Did you like it? Do you think it's moving in a better direction? I am still counting down until this is over. I want to see where it's going. I want to see what's happening in Atlanta. I just feel like there's so many like storylines just hanging, and I'm waiting for it to pick up. But this definitely has helped show that Mary Jane is moving in that direction, but I'm still waiting for her to end up going to that therapist. She needs to go to a relationship, a life coach therapist, something, because this, I mean, she's really messed up in the head for someone who's about to turn 40. And what happened to this I'm turning 40, I'm so scared thing? Like, are we gonna have a big birthday party? So let me know what you think. I will catch you guys later, and don't forget to come back next week to see what I have to say about episode 5. Check out my other videos if you haven't caught up, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.